Y- yes, sure. We'll start now.
Sorry?
We'll start now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. The topic for today's session is Cloud Engine S Series Campus Switch Training. With us today, we have Mohammad Irfan Khan as speaker. During the session, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put them in the Q&A tab. At the end of the session, we will be having a short quiz, and we would love for you all to take part in it. Irfan, over to you,
Mm.
please.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone, and good morning. My name is Mohammad Irfan Khan. I'm working as a pre-sales consultant in a Reddington, Saudi Arabia distribution company. So today our topic is Huawei Cloud Campus 4 engines, right? So I'm going to cover two of the topics, which is Cloud Campus S series switches and Cloud Campus USG AI firewalls. And then my colleague is going to cover the Wi-Fi 6 solution and AR routers, right? So let's jump right into it. So I'm not going to read out all the content on the slides. I just want to convey the basic message which we want to convey, right? And I just want to give you this realization that normally the, the customers and even the partners assume that Huawei devices might be cheaper than other vendors like Aruba or Cisco, or they are competing with many other vendors in different areas, right? Because Huawei has the largest enterprise portfolio. Our message here is, apart from the pricing, we want to show you the technicalities, and we want to tell you and give you this clear image that why Huawei Cloud Campus, whether it's S series switches or firewalls or Wi-Fi 6 solution or routers, why they are better technically than other vendors, right? So, and we will highlight the unique features in which we are like leading the market and the industry. So, starting with Cloud Campus. Cloud Campus is a concept which you have heard many times in Huawei presentations, right? So, Cloud Campus is just to give you a little brief of what is campus. uh, we understand that campus can be a branch of university, it can be a branch of school or college, right? But campus is a very wide term. So for example, Huawei as a company, it's spread across 170 countries, right? But it has unified policies across all the networks in 170 countries, and all networks are interconnected. So Huawei as a company is campus. So campus can be uh, a single building, it can be cluster of building, it can be a company like Huawei spread across 170 countries. So that's why we emphasize so much on the campus network, because 90% of the time, like we either exist in the campus or our intelligent devices exist in the network. 90% of the innovations happen in campuses, because the campus is a very wide term. So what are the four engines? Four engines basically make this cloud campus solution work, and it's end-to-end solution, right? So starting with the devices which on the user side. So it can be an access switch, it can be a Wi-Fi 6 device, wireless device, right? So this is the edge. Then we go into the aggregation or core side, where cloud campus S series switches. Then we, after on top of it, we have firewalls or data center firewalls or perimeter firewalls, and then we have routers, right? So all these combined make a campus solution. And then we have a solution called iMaster NC, which will also be touch base in my colleague presentation. So all these components needs to work together and provide this non-blocking architecture, right? So as you can see on the screen, in the Wi-Fi 6 solution, we have made a big enhancement in our Wi-Fi 6 solution, and we have left the market way behind us. Our competitors, big names, you heard them, Cisco, Aruba, they can provide only half of the bandwidth of our Wi-Fi 6 solutions, right? Uh, that's the kind of technology we have brought from our 5G experience. So this is a high level architecture. As I mentioned already, I highlighted this in my previous slide that Wi-Fi 6 solutions, we have complete range of them. And then we have Cloud Campus S series, and iMaster NCE is our unified platform, which actually manages the whole infrastructure. It's an all-in-one platform, which gives you SD-WAN. It gives you access management as a NAC solution. It gives you security management, means the SECO manager is built in, so you can manage all the firewalls across different branches through one unified platform, right? Now, that gives you end-to-end non-blocking architecture of 10G, 25G, and I will go in more details of our cloud campus switches, how they are different and how strong they are as compared to the our competitors. Why we needed 5G? Just to give you a very brief, that we came into 5G era where we have very high throughputs. We used to be in 4G, and Wi-Fi 5 was able to cater the speeds of 4G, right? But when we came to the 5G, the speeds increased, and then in airports or indoor, as we know, like I'm going to give you a very interesting fact that 90% of the time communication or video browsing or video buffering, all the internet usage, 90% of the time is indoor. 5G has a very good coverage outdoor, but when we talk about indoor, we need some solution which can give very high throughputs to satisfy the customer need, because now they have a taste of 5G, so they are not gonna like stick to the Wi-Fi 5 because it doesn't satisfy the needs of the customers. So that's why Wi-Fi 6 actually satisfies the need and the speeds and compared to 5G. So in airports, when a user moves into the airport, he's connected to 5G, but when he moves in, he's handed over to the Wi-Fi, right? We are very familiar with this concept. So Wi-Fi 6 access points can satisfy these needs. So let's talk about the architecture, right? We had traditional or as is architecture. We used to have access switches and then aggregation and then core, right? And the connectivity was between access and core was 1G or 10G. And this is as is, means like many of the customers still now uses this as 1G or 10G, right? The VXLAN concept is still fairly new for many customers. Like only I would say only 3 to 4% customers have adopted this concept. The benefits of VXLAN: we have overlay network, right? We can expand laterally, and inside, whether we are using 10G or 1G, it's all mixed, and we use layer 3 technology, and on top of it we use overlay technology, right? But in VXLAN, we need the access switches to be completely layer 3. This is the requirement for VXLAN, right? Now this is the concept which many of the customers are now adopting, or they go directly without, like on the VXLAN complexities, they go for simplified networking, where they select the uplink of 25G or 100G. So we are not limited on the bandwidth part, but we have a very simplified network as well, without the complexities of VXLAN. So both architectures are actually adopted by different customers according to their requirement. This is on high level our Cloud Campus S series switches portfolio. So basically we have from 1U up to 12 slot chassis modular core switch. Okay, we have single power supply access switches, complete PoE plus for different customer requirements. Then we have dual power supply access series switches. Then we go on with higher switching capacity, different models in 5731, right? Then we have 6700 series, which is fiber-based series with 10G ports. So this is mainly used as a core switch in many customers. Then we go into the modular series. So S7700 is a modular chassis, and then we go into our flagship model, which is S12700, right? So all of our cloud campus series switches are specially designed to facilitate end-to-end uh, communication with non-blocking architecture. We have some very unique features, right? I'm going to highlight them when we go into the more details of the switches. So let's talk about our flagship modular chassis switch, right? So it comes in three flavors. It's either 4 slot, it's either 8 slot or 12 slot, right? One of the highlight that our Cloud Campus S series switches comes with built-in wireless controller. So if it's a modular switch, it comes with built-in Wi-Fi controller. We do not have to insert any line card. So in some competitors, you have to insert a line card for the wireless controller, which occupies 1 slot. That's not the case. Also, the number of Wi-Fi like access points supported in our solutions is almost 2 to 3 times with the competitors. So I will highlight according to the switches, right? With this flagship model, here in the middle we have H3C, which is not very familiar in the Middle East, but it's a competitor to Huawei in China. But we will compare it here with the Cisco. The Cisco flagship model, most of our partners have worked with Cisco as well, so they're familiar with the model, right? So C9600 and our flagship model S12700. The first highlight you see is that per slot bandwidth is almost double or exactly double, right? So 2.4 Tbps per slot bandwidth of C9600, whereas our flagship model provides 4.8 Tbps. Now, if we have more bandwidth per slot, surely our overall switch bandwidth is again higher. So it's almost double. Then the number of 100 gig ports on line card. We support 2400 gig ports on one line card, whereas they support 12. And surely it's understandable because if our per slot bandwidth is double, surely we can support higher bandwidth ports per slot, which saves the cost for the customers, right? So for example, if you have a requirement of specific amount of 100 gig ports, you cannot go for 4 slot chassis because Cisco supports only 12 ports per line card. So you have to go for bigger chassis if you need more ports. But in our case, we have 24 ports per line card, so you can go with 4 slot chassis, which again saves the cost for you. Buffer, we have 4 GB per card or per line card. As you can see in Cisco, it's 108 MB, which is very minimal as compared to this. Why is this so much high? It's because we provide HQoS, which is hierarchical quality of service. I will go into details of what is hierarchical quality of service. But just quickly, we are familiar with the quality of service concept, where we do the configuration and we give priorities to some specific traffic, right? But that is not very detailed. We cannot go up to user base. We cannot go up to service base in competitors. But the hierarchical quality of service, or HQS, can go up to service and go up to user base, right? Each and every component is redundant, so we can achieve 99.999% reliability, right? And now, as you can see, as a wireless controller, which I mentioned, our flagship model can act as a wireless controller without any line card to be inserted, can support up to 10,000 access points. So imagine a big customer, a big organization have the facility to support 10,000 access points in their core switch, right? They don't have to go for multiple wireless controllers to facilitate or use this. For example, if you go for Aruba, right? So the biggest model supports up to 2048 access points. So then if you are looking for 8,000, you have to go for 4 of those controller, and then you need redundancy. So you will have to add one more. And then on top of that, you have mobility masters. So just imagine the cost of that wireless solution, whereas you can support 10,000 access points in one core switch. Whereas the Cisco flagship model does not support access points in their switch. One other highlight which I mentioned is cell switching. Only Huawei is providing cell switching. This is a unique feature. Let me explain this. Cisco supports packet switching, and we support cell switching. Cell switching is that we have SFUs in the switches, right? These SFUs basically facilitate the switching and gives us the switching power to the switch. When we receive packets on the line card, those are splitted into cells. So the packets are split into cells and load balance among all the available SFUs, and then combine again on the egress line card. This is cell switching. So we have no congestion on the SFUs. Whereas when we talk about the load balancing in the packet switching, they cannot split the packets among the SFUs, and they cannot load balance it among the SFUs. So it might cause congestion in the burst scenarios, right? So this is a very unique feature. And then hierarchical quality of service scheduling. It's a unique feature which only supported by Huawei. So we have MPU model which supports up to 10,000 access points and 50K concurrent users, and then SFUE and SFUH and M. So we have two models. According to the requirements, we can select any one of them. So SFUE supports 3.2 terabits per second, whereas SFUH or M model supports 4.8 terabits per second. These are some of the line cards which are supported in the core switch. I will not go into details. We will share the slides so you can check out these different types of line cards. But we have 1G, 10G, 40G, 25G line card also now available, and 100G. This is the new line card which has been introduced as 25G, because more and more requirements are coming as an access which is uplinks to be connected to the core switch. So now we have introduced line card for our core switch, which is 25G. Now we talked about our flagship model as a core switch, right? So for organization, our customers which have very the switching capacity requirements is higher, we go for our flagship model. But for commercial user or for customers which have lower budgets and requires a chassis based switch which requires redundancy and reliability, right? So we go for this model, or we opt for this model. So we have 3 different flavors: 3 line card, 6 line card, and 12 line card chases. Each and every component is redundant, right? So our flagship model supported 10,000 access points. This model support 4,000 access points, right? And then if compared with our competitors, with Cisco, you can see it's even less than half of the switching capacity per slot as compared to our 7700 series, right? The port density, the flavor of ports is very diverse. Different types of line cards can be used. 100 gig is supported, and we support like 6 ports per one line card, whereas in C9400 there is no 100 gig ports. 4,000 access points compared to 200 access points, very very huge difference, right? And heat dissipation is from front to back, whereas our competitor is providing only side exhausts. So these are some of the highlights. We support we support all 288 ports as PoE++ as well. So we have a specific chassis which we select for the PoE++ models. For example, some customers like Aramco, they use chassis based switches as access switches. This is their normal procedure, so we as well support that as well. So we have MCUD. As I mentioned, it supports up to 1000 access points. So if you go for 3-slot chassis, you will have the facility to support 1000. But if you go for 6-slot or 12-slot chassis, yeah, it can support up to 4000 access points. Some of the line cards supported in these modular switches. This is the newly launched 48 port PoE line card. So if we have a chassis specially selected for this, and we can use this line card in all the slots. So you can provide PoE which is 60 watt on all of the ports of the switch. This is the naming convention. I will share the slides. You can go through it, but it's very beneficial if you understand it. Just by looking at the name of any switch, you will completely understand what are the features in this switch. So now we come to the 1U or fixed switches. I wouldn't call it fixed because it still has the facility to add line cards, right? But it's 1U switches. Now S5732H is our enhanced multi-gig switch. So as I said in the start of my presentation, that I'm going to highlight all the features that why we are better than our competitors, right? I'm not going to talk about stories only. So far, I have shown you the stats clearly compared to Cisco, right? And we can clearly show it to you with the Aruba CX series as well, right? So whether it's the per slot bandwidth, whether it's the cell switching, whether it's the wireless access point support per switch, we are far ahead of them in all of these departments, right? So now we are talking about our multi-gig switch compared to C9300. You must be familiar with C9300 as well. It has two types of flavors, like multi-gig and non-multi-gig switches. So now we are talking about the multi-gig series. The switching capacity of Cisco is 640, whereas Huawei is 1760 Gbps per switch, almost 3 times, right? Then different types of flavors in the uplink ports. And in downlink ports, it's very much familiar, but again, you can see in Cisco that they can provide only 24 of 10 gig multi-gig ports, whereas we support 40 10 gig multi-gig ports. We support 1000, as I mentioned, that in all of our switches, we are far ahead of them in support of wireless as a wireless controller. So multi-gig switch again supports 1000 access points where they support 200. The number of users again is surely more than them. Integrated wireless controller and ultra high specifications, right? So we have 10 gig and 24 port and 48 ports as a multi-gig switch. One of the features or the highlight of our multi-gig switch, that if we use the hybrid cable, right? The hybrid cable is it's a part, like there is a fiber and copper combined rolled together, right? This is called hybrid optical and electrical cable. Now with this cable, we can go up to 200 meter. And now recently we have launched, we can go up to 300 meters, right? So this cable utilize one fiber port and one copper port. Now, in this kind of scenario, we have a special switch, and it's a unique switch in the industry, which provides 24 fiber and 24 copper ports, right? So out of 48, 24 are fiber and 24 are copper. We can go up to 300 meters now, but in traditional scenarios, still in up to 100 meter, we support 1, 2.5, 5, and 10G. You must be familiar that our competitors, most of them can provide up to 5G in their multi-gig switches, right? They call them multi-gig switches, but they can provide up to 5G, not 10G. And the reason is that their Wi-Fi 6 solution, I'm talking about Aruba, their Wi-Fi 6 solution, the access point ports are 5G, not 10G. And there is specific reason. They tried to go for 10G in their Wi-Fi 6 solutions, but the access points were getting heated up. So they stuck to 5G ports. Whereas in Huawei access points, they are providing 10G, and our switches are providing 10G as multi-gig. In XS series switches in PoE plus, we have different models, PoE and non-PoE models, 24 and 48 ports. The switching capacity, as I mentioned, that C9300 has multi-gig and non-multi-gig. So now we are talking about non-multi-gig switches, which is 1 gig switches. So our switching capacity is higher. Our uplinks are very diverse and different flavors of uplinks. Number of access point support again is much higher, right? And the switching capacity. So when we talk about switches, as we know, like in networking, the protocols are standard, right? So whether it's any vendor, they support the same protocols. When we talk about the switches, we mainly focus on the switching capacity, that what is the switching capacity of the switch. Now here are two main highlights, that the switching capacity is much higher and we support 1000 access points. So these are two features enough to be selling this switch rather than selling any other model of competitor, because the customer is not only getting more switching power, but also he's getting a facility that he don't have to deploy a separate wireless controller. He can manage up to 1000 access points. Now this is our go-to model. Like now we are coming down the hill and now these are our access switches. Now S5735S is dual power supply switch, right? If a customer is looking for dual power supply, we go with S model. And if someone is looking for a single power supply and cost effective model, we go with L series, right? So these are our two main go-to models. Downlinks are all 1G, PoE and non-PoE model available. It comes in 8 port, 24 port, and 48 port, and uplinks are 1G or 10G, right? This is our industrial switch, right? Uh, we call it like enhanced switch in terms of temperature. So it can go from -40 degree to up to 65 degree, right? So it can be installed in any enclosure outside. Supports 24 1 gig ports, and it's all non-PoE. So it's a specific model used in specific scenarios, not for all scenarios. We have a special switch for industrial situations, which is used in all scenarios. This is our L series, which I mentioned that it supports single power supply. So we have S and L used in different customer and different requirements, non-PoE, PoE, 1 gig or 10 gig uplinks flexibility. Then we have S1700 model, which is a very cost effective, and this series models do not support stacking, right? So this is mainly used if the customer has a low budget and they wants to install, for example, 10 CCTV and 1 or 2 access point, right? So in those kind of scenarios, we can propose these switches where do not require any stacking. This is the industrial model, which is for all scenario, right? So it's all in one industrial switch, which can be mounted on the pole directly, requires only like 10 minutes for the installation. It has an enclosure. It comes with the switch. It has a fiber splicing tray built in, and it can give you different types of power outputs. So it can give you PoE++, it can give you uh, DC output, it can give you AC output as well, right? So 12 volt DC, 24 volt, and 220 volt AC output are provided by this switch. It's a special switch, like it's mainly used in smart pole scenarios, or can be used anywhere else as well, right? So for example, if a pole has 2 or 3 CCTV cameras, it can provide power to them. We have a special solution which is called it's a smart pole solution, which includes power cube as well, solar system, right? So it's very suitable for the roads where we install the CCTV cameras. For smart cities, very suitable product. So these are the details of the inside of this industrial switch. Different types of power outputs are available. Fiber splicing tray is there, circuit breaker is there. It has a built-in sensor if somebody opens the enclosure, right? So all those features are inbuilt in a switch, and it can be installed immediately in 10 to 20 minutes on the site. Now, these are some features. I would say that MagSec is very like standardized feature which is available in most of the vendors. Just to highlight that it's there. As I mentioned, networking is very standardized field where all the vendors use the same protocols because it's for the benefits of these vendors. So if a customer is using all Cisco and they for a new project they wants to buy Huawei, they can surely go for it because all the protocols are supported and different vendors works together, right? So that's one of the reason to use the standardized protocols. Now, hierarchical quality of service, which I was talking about, is a unique feature. Why? Because other vendors supports port level and class level quality of service. So if we have some network engineers with us today, they are very familiar with quality of service concept, and they know that it's class based and port based, but it's not user and services based in competitors. Whereas we provide it services and user base, right? The class is also called service because class includes different types of services like video, audio, right? But it's not user based, it's port based. So as you can see on the screen, starting from the left side, it's flow queue, right? So each user has different types of services, whether it's video, data, right? For single user, then it's user-based queue. So this scenario is used when we have NAC solution, we have different users integrated from AD or LDAP or maybe inbuilt users as well. So we can provide this hierarchical quality of service for each specific user. So it will have services queue for one user, and then we will have class queue for different users, and then we go and up to the port level queue. And as I mentioned before, we provide 4 GB of buffer. And why we are providing this? For this specific reason. So once you install these flagship chassis models, you will clearly see the difference of the packet flow and the cell flow, that hierarchical quality of service is deployed, right? So you will feel very less congestion, and the services will be very enhanced. That's it for Cloud Campus S series switches, right? You can ask any questions in the question and answer, and I will answer them after my firewall presentation. So now we will go into the firewall section where, as I mentioned, that we have 4 engines covering the complete campus scenario. So these are our firewalls. We have mainly 2 different series. So we have 6000, right? So 6000 model is mainly used as a perimeter or as well as data center firewalls for customers. And then we have chassis or modular base firewalls, which is USG 9500 series for very big customers, right? Now let's talk about some of the challenges in terms of security, right? So starting from 1990, the threads itself are changing, right? Fast changing threats. So we started with virus, and we are still talking about virus, but then came worm and DDoS, phishing, Trojan horse, web threat. So, and then ransomware, and then like in 2019, M2M, machine to machine attacks as well. So all these different types of threats, they are ever changing, right? And it's impossible to protect our networks from them on manual intervention, on manual basis. We need something like, for sure we need firewall and next generation firewalls to protect our organizations. Then not only the types of threats are changing, but as well as their variations are coming. So global imposter is a very familiar ransomware, as well as WannaCry is very familiar. Everyone knows about this. So within 1 year, 3 different types of variants came, right? So you can be prepared for one, but then after a few months, the different variant comes in. So we need like dynamic firewall security, a dynamic thread protection security from all these kinds of threads so that our organization is secured. And then there are multi-dimensional attacks as well, right? Different types, and all of them are encrypted. So in 2019, internal thread accounted for 34%, right? So we are protecting from the internet traffic, but 34% of the threads are generated within our organization. So we need to deploy our firewalls in a way that we can get protection from them. And more internet traffic is becoming SSL based, HTTPS based, so it's encrypted. In 2019, 75% of the web traffic is encrypted, and now even more, right? So we need firewalls who can do this hardware SSL decryption. So we have more firewall in the more power in the firewall. Usually, we see in the competitors, they show them that it's firewall throughput is this much, firewall throughput is this much, right? this is not the this is not the key value we need to look for in the data sheet. We need to look for the value which is real life throughput, which means that we implement all the policies, and after that, what's the throughput of the firewall? That's the main thing we need to look for, because SSL encryption is becoming very, very important. And now almost 80% of the traffic is encrypted, right? So if we have this much encrypted traffic, our firewall needs the power to decrypt this traffic to look for the threads. So that will be like a bottleneck for some of the firewalls. So what we look for the look in our firewalls: super performance, right? So the thread protection performance should be 5 times, and then we look for intelligent defense. Intelligent defense means that unknown threats can be detected and their accuracy should be high, and simplified operation and maintenance as well. So these are some of the features we look for the firewalls. And when I talk about operation and maintenance, our administrators are very familiar that managing a firewall is not an easy job, right? There are so many threads, there is so many logs to look for on daily basis, right? So, and changing the policies, managing the policies across multiple branches, it's not an easy job. So we need something which can simplify this task for us. Now I'm going to talk about our 6000 series USG overall model, because if you look at different series, different models, overall they are going to look the same, but they differ in their capacity and bandwidths and disks, right? So high reliability, fans are reliable, dual power supply. Data center specific means that we have specially designed them for 1U, because the space in the data center is very important, right? So the throughput and the bandwidths are changes, but they remains as 1U firewall. Different types of ports available: 1G, 10G, 40G, auto sensing ports. Two types of different SSD disk are available for long-term logs management. So we have 64 GB SSD and 240 GB SSD. And then intelligent power adjustment. So if some ports are not used, those are shut down automatically or hibernated to save the cost. Internet load balancing or multi-egress load balancing in our firewalls. This is for most of the customer which they don't use, let's say, router. They terminate their internet connections directly on the firewalls. So we support different types of load balances. We have static intelligent uplink selection, where we do the link weight. So we assign different weight to different links, and then they are utilized accordingly. Or we assign different bandwidth to each uplink or ISP, and then those are utilized according to that static bandwidth which we have assigned. Or we come into the dynamic intelligent uplink selection, where we assign different types of SLAs. So let's say the latency of this ISP is more, switch to this ISP, right? If this ISP is more, there is more jitter, switch to other ISP. So we can assign more dynamic intelligent uplink selection, or packet loss or latency basis. Or we can also load balance on the basis of applications. So we can set it for Facebook, you need to use this ISP, but for WhatsApp, you need to use this ISP, right? So we can do an application basis load balancing as well. And the third part is IPsec or Internet MPLS based uplink selection. So on the basis of different protocols, like for example, if you are using IPsec VPN with one and MPLS with other, so we can do the load balancing according to these protocols as well. Now, multidimensional awareness. Multidimensional means we have too many criteria to be selected from, which are used as input. Like for example, when we make the policies, we have services to be assigned to the policy, we have users to be assigned, we use the URL, or geographical locations can be selected, thread information can be used, or time segments, time-based ACLs, right? Too many criterias are multidimensional as input to the firewalls. Now, this is very fairly standard, I would say. Like most of the firewalls do support these inputs, right? And we have inline traffic permit and block bypass interface. We have a bypass module as well in our firewalls, log monitoring, and advanced persistent thread association detection. This is one of the highlight in the next slide I'm gonna talk about. Policy redundancy analysis. If some administrator makes the same policies multiple times, it's going to put a lot of processing power on the firewall, so that detection is there. It highlights if you make the same policy again. Policy matching analysis are shown in the logs, and policy tuning can be done. So this is the optimization part as well. So we have multidimensional plus refined control, so we can go up to very low level in the policy creation to have a very precise policies, so those are matched and not on a very high level. Then we talk about continuous cultivation in security detection leading to AI firewall era, right? So most of the vendors, they have a firewall, right? And they have a sandbox as a separate device, right? And they have APT, advanced persistent threat detection in the CIS, critical internet security. These are procedure or steps through which we mirror the traffic and we collect them and we analyze them through different steps, right? So this is most of the vendors do as a simple firewall. So they kept the firewall as a firewall only, and all the advanced persistent thread is sent to CIS and sandbox for file restoration and mirroring. Only few vendors in the market, what they do is that they have a built-in probe, right? So instead of mirroring all the packets, they use the probes to collect this data and send it to CIS. But this is only few vendors. What's in Huawei AI firewall? We have built-in Huawei developed advanced persistent threat detection engine. So rather than sending everything to CIS center, we do the detection for almost 50% of the advanced persistent threads inside the firewall rather than sending it to APT detection CIS, right? And we have built in Huawei developed malicious file detection engine. It's a cloud developed engine. It's a unique file detection engine which does this malicious files detection inside the firewall rather than sending it to sandbox. As we know, like if we send the data to the sandbox, it needs to be analyzed inside the sandbox, and it takes some time. It's not real time, right? So we have to isolate the traffic, send it to the sandbox. Sandbox is an environment which is a completely isolated environment where we simulate the same traffic or the same data and try to find out the exploits in those data. Now we talk about our IPS solution, Huawei IPS solution, why it's unique. When we talk about a simple IPS solution from other vendors, it's a low blocking rate causes high risk. Why it's low blocking rate? Because it's not regularly updated from the cloud. If it's fixed inside the firewall, it will have a limited database to detect the threats. It will not be updated on a regular basis, right? And it will not be aware of unknown threads as well. Then we come to intelligent signature production, right? Where our firewall is provided with the baseline learning as IPS. So the baseline is already there, and then it's connected to Huawei Cloud AI, which gives and sends the update on daily basis for incremental learning. So we can provide a very high rate of blocking, okay, for as a IPS for unknown threads, right? So industry average for IPS blocking is 25% only, whereas Huawei in 2019 the blocking rate was 70%. In 2020 we have achieved 75% blocking rate in the IPS, so which is way higher than the industry average. In the start, I mentioned that SSL decryption is one of the important features in firewalls, right? So this SSL decryption can be in different ways. Firewall has to decrypt the traffic and look for the traffic inside, that if there is any malicious traffic inside, right? So it can be a user sitting inside and try to access the internet, or some data coming from the internet trying to access some server inside. So in different kind of scenarios, SSL decryption has to be done. And if it's a hardware based decryption, it increases the performance of the firewall. We do this SSL decryption on through a hardware acceleration chip, and we can achieve 5 times performance of the industry in SSL detection performance. Now, this is one of the highlight, and like this is something which is clearly mentioned in the data sheets. So you need to always look for this. As I mentioned, that 80% of the data is now SSL decrypted. So we need this performance in the firewall which can decrypt this SSL traffic. In our environments, it can be the threats can be detected, or we can actually safeguard our environment through different levels. First level is fingerprinting the devices or the terminals, right? So we can actually fingerprint, let's say, biometric devices. We can fingerprint cameras, we can fingerprint printers or IP phones. We call them profiling, right? We are familiar with the concept of profiling. So we can block any specific types of terminals. Let's say we block all the CCTV cameras. This is first level of protection. Then second level of protection is block unauthorized service, right? So we are not blocking the overall vendor profiling or the overall all the cameras. Rather than we are blocking some specific service. So we are allowing, in this case, as you can see, Hikvision security CCTV data flow, whereas we are blocking Tava security camera flow. So we can do the services based blocking as well. The third level of protection is, although we are allowing the data flow from one specific service, but then we look for malicious traffic inside that flow, right? So this is the third level. All these three levels are provided by our next generation AI firewall, and then very simplified GUI and very attractive and very easy to understand GUI, which gives you the complete statistics. CD is our cloud detection engine, which is, as in the previous slide we saw, is a file detection system, right? So rather than sending all the data to the sandbox for detection, we do most of the detection inside our firewall, right? This is malicious file detection plus Huawei developed CDE. So it accurately detects 97% of the threads inside our firewall, right? But whereas you see in different competitors, all the data needs to be sent to the sandbox to detect these kind of threads. We provide 97% of the out of the box. Then advanced persistent threads, unique features. It's a built-in our firewalls. So this CDE and built-in APT engine is two of the main highlights of the firewall, which comes built in with our firewall. As I mentioned, that local APT can detect up to 50% threads inside the box, and it's very fast. The GUI or the web UI is very user friendly, very easy to understand. And if someone has worked on any customer's firewalls, they can easily understand Huawei firewall GUI, and they will surely find it that it's much more user friendly. We support zero touch provisioning. That means if the firewalls are deployed in different branches, so we support DHCP based or USB based deployments, whereas this zero touch provisioning is done through our iMaster NCE, which is our unified platform, right? So, and the firewall can be deployed in the branch, and then it will get its configuration either through DHCP or through USB base. NSS labs, our security engineers are very familiar with the NSS lab. Gartner is something which takes many factors into consideration, like the market capturing and many other factors. But whereas NSS Labs is pure technical, it do the testing on the firewalls and then gives us the results. In 2019, Huawei firewall received the recommended rating from NSS Labs, and as you can see clearly, it's above many other vendors in terms of security effectiveness, right? Above firewall, Fortinet, about Barracuda, and many others. Whereas TCO per protected Mbps is the highest. Okay, so you can see in this chart that Huawei is on the most right. That means per MB protection is very low. Like, in simple words, the price of the Huawei firewall is lowest among all the vendors, whereas in terms of security effectiveness, it's much higher than many other vendors, right? So this is one of the selling point of Huawei firewalls, that not only we just talk about it, it's been tested by NSS Labs, and they gave recommended rating to Huawei firewall. Also, Gartner Peer Insight. Now, we are familiar with Gartner Quadrant, but Gartner Peer Insight is the same Gartner, but they have like a separate portal where customers comes and rate different vendors' products. So it's not just for firewalls. There are Wi-Fi 6 and many other parts as well, like storage arrays as well. So they comes and mark them. So any customer who is using these products will mark this product, that how satisfied he is with it and how much ranking he wants to give it to this product. So Huawei firewalls received the highest Gartner Peer Insight rating by the customers. This shows that how satisfied the customers are with Huawei firewall. We received 4.9 out of 5 ranking and number one in the global vendors. This is a very attractive selling point. You need to highlight this, that the customer satisfaction is the most important thing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Hope it was fruitful. You can reach us anytime for if you have any inquiries, and if you have any questions, please ask in the chat box. I will try to answer. And now I will hand it over to my colleague, Abdullah Wahid. He will start his presentation shortly. Just hold on for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Irfan. Can you see my screen, Irfan?
Yes, Abdullah, we can see it.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the session. This is Abdullah Wahid. I am a pre-sales consultant from Reddington, and I'm dedicated handling Huawei business. So today we are going to discuss about Huawei 4 engines. Let's have a quick review on Huawei corporate briefing. So as we all know that Huawei is one of the leading ICT vendor, and Huawei is having more than 188,000 employees globally, and Huawei is investing a lot in research and development. So this is one of the key factor for Huawei growth, and because Huawei, in terms of finance, in terms of human resources, they are investing hugely in research and development. So this is a factor. They are having 96,000 dedicated employee. Then, if we talk about the presence, Huawei is having their local presence in 170 plus countries. Huawei is having 15 R&D institute globally, and Huawei is ranking at number 49 in the Fortune Global 500 companies. Then, if we talk about Huawei business groups, so mainly we know that Huawei started their business operation from the carrier side, but eventually now they have four business lines. So the first one is the consumer part, the consumer business group, and in consumer business groups we have all the handheld devices, then the laptops or the smart gadgets. The second is carrier, which I just said that Huawei started their operation from the carrier domain. And today, if we talk about Huawei position in the market, Huawei is leading the show in carrier, and they have the biggest market share among their competitors. And the products and services, what we have in carrier part, we all know that uh, for uh, for the video stations like the microwave, the antennas, and all the hardware required for the ISPs. Then we have EBG, that is Enterprise Business Group, in which we are dealing with. So EBG products are also categorized into four different categories. IP we have, then we have IVS, then we have data center facilities and IT. So this is the brief about EBG. Then we have AI and cloud platform, or AI and cloud, you can say business line, which is recently being launched by Huawei, in which Huawei is offering the cloud services as well. So this was a brief about the fourth business line about Huawei. Let's have a review on the market progress of Huawei, where Huawei is standing right now in terms of a different product line. So for the router part, Huawei is sharing the number one position among their competitors. Whereas we talk about in Ethernet switching, Huawei is sharing the number two position globally, and also number two position in SCM controller. If we talk about the data center network, WLAN, and security, Huawei is witnessing the year-on-year growth, as you can see in the slides. So the main agenda of today's session was to discuss about these four engines, and air engine, cloud engine, net engine, and high-sec engine. Out of these four engines, my colleague Irfan have already explained you the two engines, which is cloud engine and high-sec engine. So now our focus engines will be air engine and net engine. So before starting these engines, we need to understand specifically, we talk about air engine, like what challenges we were facing, and why air engine or Wi-Fi 6 was being released. What were the issues we were facing before the release of these air engine. So mainly there were three challenges. The first one was the bandwidth, capacity, and latency. So in terms of bandwidth, if we talk about, like we can see that there are many application scenarios where the requirement is very higher for the bandwidth, and many applications required higher throughput. So we need something to have higher bandwidth and high throughput, and it was not possible in the Wi-Fi 5 case, right? Another issue was the capacity issue, specifically in the scenarios where the scenarios are very high dense. They are densely populated. For example, meeting rooms. For example, the outdoor stadiums. For example, the conference rooms, or the classroom. So in all of these scenarios, we need to have the higher concurrency, and we need such technology or such equipment which can accommodate more number of users. Especially we talk about for the Wi-Fi. So we need some such Wi-Fi device which can accommodate more number of users, and where more number of users can be connected with a single AP device. So this was also a challenge in the previous technologies. The third issue was the latency issue. So this was also a major issue, especially for the delay sensitive applications such as voice and video calling. And specifically, voice and video calling while we are moving around or we are roaming around. Specifically, everyone might have faced one of the issue in hospitality sector while we are staying in a hotel. So if you are moving from one place to another place or from one floor to another floor while roaming and while you are on the call, so you might have faced some disconnection or some interruption. So these kind of issues were also there. So all of these issues which are being discussed regarding bandwidth, capacity, and latency. So these are overcome in the new technology of Wi-Fi 6, and where we can have zero latency, and we can have a smooth and best experience. I will explain you in further slide. So as I said that these issues are already overcome from the Wi-Fi 6, which Huawei have introduced a solution which is called as Smart Campus. And in Smart Campus we have a solution which is called as Wi-Fi 6. In Wi-Fi 6, we can assure we can assure the higher bandwidth, we can assure the higher capacity, and we can assure the lowest latency. So also, if we talk about the network management part, Huawei also have an iMaster solution. Basically, we have a smart campus solution, and this cloud campus solution. And in this cloud campus solution, basically what we have is the Wi-Fi 6, which we are talking about right now, and then we have the Cloud Engine series switches, which my colleague Irfan has already discussed, and then the network part, which is iMaster NC. I'm going to explain you the highlights of iMaster NC in the further slides as well. Now, this is the Wi-Fi 6. So let's discuss more about the Wi-Fi 6. As you can see, the different models, and Huawei Air Engine Wi-Fi 6 have many different models with respect to indoor and outdoor APs. We have different models, and also within indoor and outdoor APs, we also have different models which comes with built-in antennas, and which comes with external antenna as well. So let's discuss some of the key features for Wi-Fi 6, which makes Huawei stand out from its competition. We talk about smart radio. Huawei have the smart radio technology. By having this, we can assure 30 plus concurrent terminals at 100 Mbps. Then if we talk about the dynamic turbo, Huawei AP also uses the dynamic turbo technology, and by having this technology, it can this is basically a HQS, which Irfan has also mentioned, which is hierarchical quality of service. And the quality of service we all know, basically, to guarantee the bandwidth. And this HQS basically is on user level basically. So to provide the best services and to provide the guaranteed bandwidth, this HQS will be used, and with the help of dynamic turbo technology, which will, automatically it will detect the application types, and based on the application types, it will assure the bandwidth to the user level. So we know and we understand the concept of the QS management, right? It's already explained. You need to have the guaranteed bandwidth for the users, and also Huawei APs are also providing the low latency. Uh, by having this low latency, we can also assure the best and smooth experience for the users, and specifically for the real-time applications. Real-time applications like which are delay sensitive, like voice and video, or also for the augmented reality as well. Then if we talk about the smart antennas, Huawei also have the smart antennas built in, and the flagship model for Huawei, it supports 16 built-in smart antennas. And the smart antenna basically they uses the beamforming technology, and with this having this beamforming in the AP, we can achieve 20% greater coverage, and we can have the full coverage even in the blind spot free area. So the end result, what we are going to receive from the smart antenna is the blind spot free full coverage. Regarding the lossless roaming, Huawei APs also support lossless roaming, and this is also like we can have the smooth and best experience in the video conferencing. We can have the smooth experience in the voice calls as well, and specifically it will be beneficial and it will be helpful while we are on the move, while we are roaming around, and while we are on the call. Then this thing can help the user to have the best experience. Then IoT cards, Huawei APs also supports built-in IoT slots, which means that we can have the integration of the IoT modules within the AP. And as compared to the competition, Huawei AP supports 4 type of mode, whereas the competition support 2 modes. So the benefit, what we can conclude for the integration of these IoT with the AP is, the first thing is if you are going to have the less number of wireless devices in your network, for sure you are going to have a less complex wireless network, because the less wireless devices, the less radio interference will be there, right? So this is one of the benefit, and second benefit is like with the integration of these modules with the AP, the customer can have the benefit to reduce the total cost of ownership by 50%. So the scenarios also we can see below, where we can pitch the solution in different scenarios, specifically where the 4K video is required in a wireless office. Then for the education sector, where in the future also we are going towards this augmented reality and virtual reality. Then for the outdoor scenarios, for the public Wi-Fi services, then for automatic factory, which means where automatic guided vehicles are being used, and also the AGV basically. This is something which required zero packet loss during roaming, and also for the retail markets or for the supermarkets as well. So these are some of the models of Wi-Fi 6. As I said, that Huawei have the complete range of Wi-Fi 6 products, whether it is for indoor, outdoor, whether it's an antenna with built-in antennas, whether it is required for a small office or a home office, whether it is required for a corporate office, for a HQ branch, for a stadium, for anything. So for all kind of requirement, we have a dedicated AP. So let's start with this 576121. This is the ceiling mounted AP. Then we have the small AP for 576111 and 12W. These are basically hospitality sector AP. where you have four LAN ports, and having these four LAN ports, in a guest room, we have multiple services, and these LAN ports are required. And one AP supports PoE out as well from these LAN ports, so we can have multiple devices connected with the same AP. Then we have AP 6760, which comes in two different flavors for built-in antenna and external antenna. It also comes with indoor and outdoor both models, and this is normally for high density scenarios, and it supports maximum 10 antennas. So we have different models having different number of antennas supporting in the AP. Then if we talk about Air Engine 8760, here also we have different models, and within the same model we have different flavors, like for indoor and outdoor both, and supports built-in and external antenna both. So the models where you can see ending with X1E, E means it have the external antennas, and where you see like 6760R or 8760R, so ending with R means this is an outdoor AP. So these 8760 AP support 16 antennas and 18 antennas both, and these are also high density scenario APs where you can recommend this in a conference room, in a stadium, or in a big hall. So the last AP with what we have is for the flagship model, which is 8760 X1 Pro. This is a flagship model which supports 16 antennas, and it supports up to 10 gigabit, which is the highest among their competitors. And this is also recommended for the high density scenarios like the e-classroom and the conference room. Now we have the iMaster NCE. As I said before, that this is the all-in-one solution. Also, we called it as a one-stop solution. We also called it as four-in-one solution because from the same platform, we can utilize this as a network management tool. We can utilize this as authentication controller. Before Huawei was having agile controller and eSight, two different tools, to have the authentication controller as separate and this network management as separate. But after this iMaster NC, both the features can be utilized within the same hardware. And other than authentication controller and other than this NMS part, it can also be utilized as analyzer, because it supports AI platform as well. I will explain you the AI feature in the next slide. The benefit having iMaster NC, as I said, that this is an all-in-one solution. Plus, it supports a GUI platform, and through this GUI platform, we can have the network provisioning of the underlay and the overlay networks. It can be carried out really fast as compared to the CLI mode, or as compared to the previous version of NMS. And specifically for the service provisioning, this iMaster NC, it also have the plug and play feature, which means that any end device which we are going to connect to the network, it is going to be authenticated automatically, and based on the type of the device, it will be added automatically. And after authentication, and after the authentication, to whatever type it will belong, it will be added automatically. And after adding it automatically, it can also show you what kind of device it is, and what is the model of the device, and what is the brand of the device. So other than the plug and play feature, this iMaster NC also supports this spoofing feature as well. For example, like if any end device is going to be removed, either intentionally or unintentionally, it will be this event will be identified, and this event will be notified to the administrator, and an alarm will be generated. So in this way, we can have the real time experience, and we can have the real time visibility. So overall, we say that this is a CLI free network. The network administrator and the network engineers can save a lot of time, for the configuration part, for the maintenance part, and also it is also locating the faults as well. So what we can conclude is, after having the successful network and service provisioning, the administrator of the network, they can have the full visibility. Specifically, they can have the full visibility of the statistics, and they can have the full visibility in the visualize and in the graphic form. So it makes really easy, and it makes the operation and maintenance really simple and easier. As I said in the previous slide, this iMasterency is also providing the AI platform. So let's discuss that what value this AI can add to this iMasterency, and by having this AI thing, how we can enhance the network performance. So basically, this campus inside, it can help the administrator to get the data in real time, and how this data is being collected in real time by using the telemetry technology. And previously, we were using this SNMP technology and SNMP protocol. And if we compare it, the SNMP with the telemetry thing, the telemetry is the first benefit of having this telemetry is it is collecting the data in real time. Secondly, this telemetry is using the push mode. So the data is being pushed. So the data collection time, it can, before the SNMP protocol was taking too much time. It was the data collection time was around 10 minutes. But having this telemetry technology, it reduces the time from 10 minutes to seconds. Also, this telemetry and this AI thing in campus inside, it is also using the big data analysis and the machine learning algorithm. So with the help of this big data and machine learning, it can also identify the faults. It can learn the network behaviors, and it can also discover the network issues automatically. So without having any human intervention, without any intervention of the network administrator, all the faults will be diagnosed. It initially it will discover the issue. The issue will be diagnosed. The root cause will be diagnosed, and after the root cause will be diagnosed, it will suggest you the solution, and then this will be pushed to the network. So in this way, we can enhance the network performance. The interference will be reduced. Human interference will be reduced, and automatically you can have the suggestions from the system itself. So if we summarize the whole thing, we can conclude this, that this campus inside, they will not only discover the faults, but it will also help to identify the root cause, and accordingly, after identifying the root cause, it will propose the solution as well. So that was it for the netting, for the air engine. So we are going to start with the net engine now. If you have any questions regarding the air engine, you can just ask in the chat box. So the net engine part, basically, this is the part, the complete outer portfolio. So let's start with the device naming convention. NE40 is basically is the flagship model for Huawei router portfolio. and normally it is for the ISP customers. Let's take an example of NE40 and understand the naming convention. NE is the net engine, 40 is the brand name, X is this is having the improved performance or the enhanced performance. The 8 basically shows the total number of chassis or the total number of slot it have in a single chassis. And A is again then indicating to the advanced version. We have different models in NE40, different slot series we have. Let's start with the more details on Huawei net engine routers. Here you can see the high-end routers from Huawei. As I mentioned, in the previous slides, that the today world is the digital world, and we are moving towards the intelligent world, and we are moving towards the artificial intelligent world. So in these type of things, the data centers are also growing bigger. So we need some infrastructure, and we need some core solution to support these technologies. The technologies like the 5G and this artificial intelligence. So Huawei net engines have the complete range of routers, whether it is for SNMB, whether it is the mid-range routers, or whether the requirement is for the high density or the chassis backbone routers. So we talk about the high-end routers. They are the 8000 M1A and 8000 M1A. These routers are also specifically designed for ISPs, for the large enterprises, and for the HQs, so that they can meet the massive number of users, especially in the upcoming era, that is 5G and cloud era. So these any series router, they also have the complete portfolio from the edge routers, from the access routers to the core routers, and these routers also supports 100 gig line cards. This router supports 40 gig line cards as well. And if we talk about the forwarding capacity for these routers, they starts from the 176 giga up to 32 tera. And these 8000 series routers, they also supports different features, and it can provide the powerful services, so that the device can meet the service requirements for the ISPs, for the large enterprises as well. Also, these routers also provide the redundancy backup as well for all the key components, like the fans, the power supplies, and the SRUs. And these are host swappable as well. These key components. So NE40 series are also are the high-end routers, and they are the flagship models for the ISP, and they are also called as universal service routers as well. And these routers can be used as the edge nodes for the IP backbone networks and for the MAN networks. Here you can see this net engine branch routers, which is also available for a specific targeted markets. For example, like this AR600, they can be used for they can be used for small office, and they can be used for a home office market. Then the 600, we can pitch these models for the small businesses, and those small businesses that have the branch locations. Then we have this 6121, and we have this 6140 series. These are also medium business branch solutions. Then we have 6200 series and 6300 series. They are appropriate for the large business, which have multiple branch locations, and they have the enterprise headquarters as well. So as you can see, we have different models depending on the different requirement and different requirement of the throughput. starting with the smallest router, it supports up to 2 Gbps, and the highest router in 6000 series, it supports up to 12 gigabit. So these enterprise routers also supports multiple interface cards within the same box, and within the same box, they also supports multi-core CPUs, which makes these routers as the unique routers and the higher performing routers as compared to their competition. These routers also provide zero touch provisioning, which means plug and play feature is also there. So by having this zero touch provisioning, we can make the deployment really fast, and we can make the configurations really simple and easy. And if we talk about the 6280 and 63 in the specifically, they also supports the redundant component, like the SRUs are redundant, then the power supplies and the fan modules, and they are also hot swappable. So by having these redundancy features in these kind of routers, we can ensure the stability and the reliability as well. Then one of the unique feature what Huawei router supports and the competition does not is the 5G uplink. So net engine routers are the you can say are the first routers that supports this 5G module, and this module specifically, it can support all the network format. This is not specifically for 5G only, so it can support existing networks of 4G, 3G, and 2G as well. And if we talk about the performance, Huawei routers, they are using the solar chipsets. These solar chipsets are owned by Huawei. They are manufactured by Huawei. So by having these solar chipset, they are energy saving technology basically. These solar chipsets are using this energy saving technology, and these chips can help to deliver the large capacity, and these chips can help to deliver the high performance with very little power consumption. So these chips are also programmable, and by default it have 5 acceleration engines, which makes these Huawei routers as unique, and makes these Huawei routers as the higher performing routers as compared to the competition. These routers also supports SD-WAN services, and Huawei router supports SD-WAN features and infrastructure as well. If we talk about the traditional routers, when we enable the SD-WAN services on a traditional router, it will reduce the performance of that device. So, which means that we need something, we need a router which have a higher performance, so that we can deploy the SD-WAN services. So in this scenario also, Huawei fulfill the needs, and Huawei have introduced the enterprise routers, which can meet the SD-WAN services requirement by having the multi-core CPUs and the high forwarding architecture. Huawei router is also supporting video streaming quality as well. It can ensure the video the frame freezing. How basically it is ensuring there is no frame freezing at 20% because of this FEC algorithm. What is this FEC algorithm? This is basically it is used to provide the redundancy on the frame and packet level. For example, like if we take an example, when if there is any frame or is there any packet which is lost while moving towards the receiving end, it will help to recover those lost frames and packet. So this algorithm it will automatically calculate the packet rate, uh, the packet rate which is lost. So you can say it will automatically calculate the lost rate of the packet, and based on that, it will automatically provide the required quantity. So we can conclude that this algorithm it can remove the freezing frame, and it can provide a better performance for the video applications specifically. So as I said that 5G module is supported in all the enterprise routers. So let's discuss more about the unique features having in AR routers about the 5G cards. What are the benefits we are having to have these 5G cards? You know, we can have the super fast link, and we can also enhance the uplink and downlink performance by having this a small module in the box. Also, after enhancing the network performance, it will not only support a single card, but it can also support the dual card as well. So that means that we can also have the redundancy on the line or on the link base as well. So one will be active and the other will be standby. So these 5G modules, as I said in previous slide, that it supports all the network format, means 3G, 4G, and 5G. And other than that, it also supports two architecture, which called as dual architecture, which is 5G SA and 5G NSA. So the main difference between NSA and SA is that 5G NSA basically it is a solution for the 5G networks where the network is supported by the existing 4G infrastructure. Whereas if we talk about the SA infrastructure, in SA basically the 5G base station, it will be directly connected to the 5G core. So basically it will not be depending on the existing 4G infrastructure, or you can say the signaling will not depend on the 4G network. So this is the main difference between the 5G SA and 5G NSA. But for sure there will be a bandwidth difference between both the architecture, as you can see in the slide as well. Then we have this flagship model, which is for the branch routers. AR6140 can be pitched to small and medium branches. We have some, key highlighted features for this small box, and it is having some advantages over its competition. And the advantages you can see here that the small box can support 5G line card, whereas in competition we don't find this. Then in terms of forwarding performance, Huawei routers is starting from 2 gigabit. The smallest router is starting from 2 gigabit, and this is 4 times higher than the competition. Then if we talk about the interfaces, Huawei router is also supporting more number of slots, and in terms of redundancy as well, Huawei the small box also it is supporting dual power as well. So this is the last slide. Now we are going to conclude the whole thing about the net engine. We are going to discuss about some of the key features, and we are going to discuss how we can pitch the solution, how we can differentiate Huawei routers with its competition, and what features and what specification we can pitch to the customer to add more values. So as I explained in the previous slides, many features about and many specification about Huawei routers. So here are also some of the features which we are going to discuss. So one of the main thing, actually Huawei routers, we can also say that it supports multiple features within the same box. So by having multiple features, the ultimate concept of having multiple feature in a single box is to reduce the customer cost. They don't have to purchase a separate box for separate services. So among this concept, the first thing what Huawei support is the multiple VPN types, and one of the VPN type that Huawei support is the smart VPN, and it is also called as DS VPN. So this DS VPN is basically dynamic smart VPN, which is called as intelligent and efficient solution for the large enterprises. uh, let's take an example to consider to understand this the value of this DS VPN. If we consider a traditional example or a traditional VPN solution, we must have to create static tunnels to connect when we have multiple branches, like we have one HQ and multiple branches with the HQ. So we have to create the static VPNs, to connect each branch with each other, or to connect one branch to the HQ, right? So the more number of branches we have, the more number of tunnels will be required, and the number of tunnels will be increased. So if the number of tunnel will be increased, the workload, or you can say the operations, will be increased. So it will be difficult to maintain. It will be difficult to handle. It will be difficult to configure and everything. But in the case of DS VPN, if we consider the same example for the large enterprise, which is having the multiple branches, we don't have to create the static tunnels to connect each branch with another branch, or to connect one branch with the HQ. Because DS VPN, it is using hub and spoke mechanism. So that means that the spoke, they will automatically create the tunnels with each other. So we don't have to create the tunnels from each branch to HQ, or to each branch to branch. So we can say that the spoke router, if they want to transmit a packet to another spoke router, they will automatically define the destination address, and they will automatically create the tunnel, and the data will be transferred directly between these two routers. So they don't have to go through the centralized hub case. So this is one of the key feature. Then the other key feature, as I explained in the FAC algorithm, that Huawei routers are supporting FAC algorithm, so we can ensure the best quality in video applications. It is also supporting 20%. It is also supporting the best in quality experience while in the freezing frame scenario. FSC was already explained in the previous slide. Let's talk about this integrated Wi-Fi. The same router, it is also supporting as a WLAN controller, which means that we don't have to buy a separate controller to support the WLAN features. So the same router can be act as a WLAN controller, and it can support multiple APs. So within the same box, we can also do the AP management as well while using the browser. So customer don't have to buy a new hardware. Also, the fourth thing is Huawei routers. They are having built-in firewalls as well. So Huawei router supports this IPS, URL filtering, and other multiple VPN technologies as well. So within the same box also, we can also provide the complete security protection, and we can provide the complete security capabilities within the same box. So these were some of the key highlighted features which we can pitch, and which we can which we can present in front of the customer to give some value add for the routers and for other devices as well. So that was it from my side for the router part and for the Wi-Fi part. I hope I've delivered the message. So if you have any questions, you are free to ask in the chat box. Now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Fahmi. Over to you, Fahmi.
Thank you, Abdullah. Good morning, everyone. This is Mohammed Fahmi. I am the channel sales manager for Huawei products. Today, I'm going to present the channel policy. Uh, just a moment, please. You can see my screen, Abdullah fan.
Yes, we can.
Okay. First of all, in Huawei, we have three layers of partners. If a partner registered himself within Huawei, is going to be a registered partner, and starting from the first deal or first dollar he placed with Huawei, is going to be an authorized partner. Next year is silver partner. The partner should achieve zero point 0.5 million, and including also to have certificates for the pre-sales team, HCSA 1 certificate and HCPA 2 certificates. And for gold partners, the target is $2 million per year. And regarding the certificates, pre-sales should have one HCSA and two HCPA like the silver partner, additional to have one HCPP certificate. Also, they have to achieve one post-sales certificate to be a CSP 3-star service provider on any product line. For the channel partner, also we have a rebate program. For silver partner, they have 2% base rebate on all the deals and 2% capability rebate. This is for the achieved certificates. You will have 2% rebate, which means 4% for the silver partner. For gold partner, they are going to have a base rebate of 3% and capability rebate 2%. Additionally, they are going to have 1% for any joint marketing fund they execute on the year. For Huawei, if we compare the rebate program with other vendors, we can see that Huawei is starting to distribute its rebate program or percentage on a quarter base. So you don't have to achieve the whole target in order to get your rebate. Starting from the first dollar, you are going to get your incentive. For other vendors, we know that you have to achieve at least 50% of your target in order to get the rebate program, which means if you are less than your target, half percent of your target of 1K or 2K or 3K, and this is going to be embarrassing to the partner. So how we have resolved this issue, and we started distributing our rebate program on a quarterly base. Also, regarding for individual, Huawei didn't forget the people who supporting Huawei in the market. Those people are on the ground from the sales and pre-sales team. We have a program of deregistration reward program that will grant account manager and pre-sales a percentage of their closed business, and it is on three slabs. First slab is the deal value between 10K and 100K. The account manager will get 1.2% of the value, which means that also it is capped to $1,000. And for the pre-sales, he will get 0.6 reward capped at $5,000. Slab 2 for the orders between 100K and 250K. The reward will be 1.2 for the account manager capped to $2,500. And for the pre-sales, it will be 0.6 capped to $1,250. For slab 3, which are the deals above 250K, the account manager will get 1.2%, same percent, but it will be capped to $5K. And for the pre-sales, he will get zero point 0.6 cap to $2,500. Also, from our side as Redington, we have Huawei and Redington incremental incentive plan for the value for the order values between 1 and 49.9K dollar. The reward will be 0.75%. For the deals between 50 and 99.9K US dollar, it will be 1%. For 100K US dollar and above, the percent will be 0.25%. Also, Huawei is providing to the individual Huawei Dreamland trip. It was done in 2019, 20 for COVID. Unluckily, we didn't have it, but still, this trip is available for this year till end of this year. For each partner who have a closed business of more than 300K with an approved DR, deregistration, you will be entitled to nominate one of the employees to attend this trip. And if the partner achieved, like let's say, $1,200,000, he will be granted for 4 seats. This trip is just for having fun and enjoying sun and sand without any business related things or seminars or events. It's only for fun. So Huawei is supporting the partners as well. Also for the knowledge transfer, Huawei is offering training and certificate vouchers according to the partner level, starting from gold partner tier. He will have 2 vouchers for achieving HCIA, and one for HCIP, and one for HCIE. For value-added partner, Disti's global distributors, it will be 2 for HCIA, 1 for HCIB, and 1 for HCIE. And career certificate reward also for individuals, for employees who's working with partners in as VAP or Distis or gold partners, for achieving a certificate of HCIE. The partner individual or employee is going to have a voucher of 500K Riyal Saudi. Also, Huawei is offering its training platform through learning for certificates, live virtual training, hands-on training, partner university as well. Huawei is offering all of this. And this is for the channel policy. Also, we have a channel programs and promotions provided from Huawei. Let's start it. First of all, the first promotion we have is a deal registration reward program, DRR 2021. Any partner register a deal and it is approved from Huawei and it is named with them, at least you will get 15% deal protection on commercial side, that anyone or any partner else is going to submit for the same project, he will get prices over than this partner, the first one who registered the deal, of 15% minimum. Also, as agreed or as previously said, that there is 1.8% sales incentive for the sales and pre-sales team from the partner level. And also Huawei is providing special price quotation support, faster sales cycle, and solution support as well. The below table, it is the same one that we mentioned on the previous slide, but there is a difference here for the who provided the quote. If the quote was provided by Huawei, the pre-sales will get 0.3%. But if the partner pre-sales team who started or created the code and worked on it, they are going to get 1.6%, sorry, 0.6%. This is the only difference. Still, the slabs are the same. and it is capped at the same values as well. Second promotion also from Huawei. For all partners, they know that all orders from Huawei are back-to-back orders, so it takes 6 to 8 weeks as approximate time for delivery. Currently, Huawei have a ready stock in Dubai, which takes only delivery for from 1 week to 3 weeks maximum for campus switches, Wi-Fi access point, firewall, storage, ID hub, and digital power, inshallah, coming soon. So this allows us to do more business, and for the Rush project, partners are going to be able to provide all the products quickly and not like before. For Huawei Wi-Fi 6 expansion program, Huawei have a promotion for value-added partners, global partners, or resellers that whoever sells a deal that includes Wi-Fi, the channel account manager will get $1.50 for each access point, and same applies to the pre-sales as well. But there is condition for this promotion that there should be an approved DR. This offer is valid with regional promotion program discount level, as we said. The minimum access point quantity needs to be included in the deal is 50 pieces. Maximum incentive is going to be $300K per BO for value-added partner, global partner, or resellers. This offer is valid for the first 10,000 access points sold, and it is going to be valid till end of this year, which is 31st of December 2021. Another promotion is having 1% sales incentive for win-back projects. The account manager will get 0.5%. Pre-sales is going to get 0.5%. Winning back project, that means that if there is a project and the approved vendor is not Huawei and the partner succeeded to convince the customer to have Huawei products and provided all the technical solution and data sheets and everything, at that time it's called a winning back project. This incentive have conditions as agreed, that there should be a DR, approved DR, converting enterprise network opportunity from non-Huawei to Huawei, as we said. The minimum IB amount should be 60K net. Threshold, the sales incentive cannot exceed 10K per deal. Offer is limited for the first accumulated $10 million orders. And this offer is valid till end of this year as well. Another 1% incentive for migrating legacy data centers. Account manager will get 0.5, pre-sales also 0.5. Conditions to have an approved DR. Converting enterprise network opportunity from non-Huawei to Huawei as well. The minimum IB amount should be 60K. The sales incentive cannot exceed 10K per deal. Offer is limited for the first accumulated of $5 million orders, and this offer is valid till end of this year. Also, Huawei is supporting the partners to make POCs in order to close deals. We have a program here, IP POC program. Partner account manager will get $500 and pre-sales also $500. Conditions for this offer: application partner are VAB, Gold, and Silver partner. The POC shall result to a BO for sure, and minimum IB amount is 60K dollar. Also, a POC should be signed. You should have a signed documents with the test result and shall be provided also to Huawei in order to get this incentive. The incentive cannot be attributed more than 3 times to the same partner in order to give a fair chance to all the partners. Program is limited for the first 50 POCs across the region. and for sure this deal is valid till end of this year. So for those promotions, if a partner is going to close a deal, as an example, of $1 million revenue to Huawei, deal with the following criteria. First, the partner submitted a deal registration and it is approved. The deal includes 1,000 Wi-Fi access points. This project wasn't Huawei, but the partner succeeded to convert it to Huawei opportunity. It includes also a data center migration of $300K, and also the partner have provided a POC to the customer. At that case, if the deal includes all of this, so the partner account manager will get 5K dollar for the deregistration, and the pre-sales is going to have 2,500. For Wi-Fi, the account manager will get 1,500 and also the pre-sales. Having 1% win back incentive, which means $5,000 to the account manager and $5,000 for the pre-sales as well. 1% for data center migration incentive, 1,500 for the account manager, 1,500 for the sales manager, and for the POC approved and led to a BO, the account manager will get $500 and the pre-sales as well. So as a total, the partner account manager will be able to get $13,500 to him personally, and the pre-sales is going to have $11,000 to him. So the total is 24,500 to partner sales and pre-sales, excluding company incentive for sure. That means that Huawei is not only supporting partners as a partner. No, we focus to the assets of the partners, and we are supporting them in order to work hard in the market in order to spread Huawei everywhere. And at the end, all parties are benefiting from this activities, and for sure, Huawei is supporting us all. This is it for the channel policy and promotion program from Huawei. I was Muhammad Fahmi. And now we have a small test, not test, it's like a competition to answer some questions, and there is also prizes for that. I will hand over the mic to Arfan. Arfan, you can start now.
Yes, thank you, Fahmi. Hi, Subhashri, it's over to you for the quiz. Hold on, we will start the quiz shortly.
Hi, Irfan. Thank you so much for a wonderful session, Irfan, Fahmi, Abdullah. I'll now share my screen and we shall begin with the quiz. Irfan, can you please confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, perfect. I would like to request everyone to kindly go to the URL which has been typed in the chat box. It's polf.com/moneyplant085. I would request everyone to kindly use and paste this URL in the browser to take part in the quiz. We'll wait for 2 minutes for everyone to log in for the quiz. If there are any questions in regards to being able to register for the quiz, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you. Seeing no questions in the chat box, I'm assuming everyone is able to log in for the quiz. I think we're now good to begin with the quiz. The quiz will be a multiple choice question based quiz. There will be a question appearing in front of your screen with the correct option which you can choose. The scoring based system for this quiz would be on the two factors that are first, of course, the correct answer, and second would be on how quickly you are answering to each question. So let's get started with the quiz. Here's the first question, and following are your options. Please choose the correct option. You get a timer of 20 seconds to answer each question. Congratulations to all the winners. We have Jamshahid on top, Abraham on second, and Masood on third position. Congratulations to all the winners. I would request you to please put your email IDs in the chat box. Irfan, over to you, please.
Yes, sure. All the winners, please mention your email addresses. For the first position, I think the username itself is email address. For the second and third, please mention your email addresses in the chat box. Yes, Maksud, if we can have your email address. Yes. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the session today. This concludes our webinar, and see you in next webinar, inshallah. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, team.